morning, everybody. Adrienne Falcone Godsell, the Food Whisperer, and it's 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. Yes. And it's been quite a week here in Tampa. We had the Hurricane Helene come through and just exponentially grew crazy, right? And I think the thing that really, at least it took me by surprise, was that there was this big, huge storm, and then at the tail end of it was the hurricane. So we had all this storm going through, and then the hurricane at the end. And lots of confusion, lots of craziness, lots of madness, lots of really, really sad stories. And we didn't even get what Cedar Key got, and all the horrific sadness that happened. But St. Pete and Tampa and Clearwater and the whole coastal region did get hit pretty hard, and we were blessed that nothing happened to us here where we live. We're kind of raised up. We're kind of more central Tampa, so we didn't have any of that. But yeah, if you find whatever good ministry that you want to donate to be helping everybody, that's who I suggest that you do that to. I'm personally not doing any fundraising efforts just because I like to do research before I do that. So, but I'm just trying to get my heading on things and where I'm at. And comfort foods is something that we have when we are stressed, right? And if you caught my post the other day talking about stress eating, and if we're going to stress eat, soothing comfort foods, right? One of my favorites are drop biscuits, and I found this recipe online someplace, and I will post it afterwards. So stay tuned for a link, because hey, it works and it's good, and I was able to cut it down to a smaller batch because I have found that I would rather spend an exponential amount of money going out and buying one piece of a dessert instead of making 2 dozen cookies here at home, because then I'm going to eat the 2 dozen cookies at home. Yeah, I am real. This is the way things happen for me as well. So I found a way to cut this recipe almost in thirds, definitely, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So it is a drop biscuit recipe, and all you need is a food processor. And not only do you only need a food processor, but this is just a little guy here. And I had gotten this immersion blender that also had the little mini chopper that goes with it. And you can find this on my go-to page. So if you go to holisticcheftampa.com, or if you go to thefoodwhisperer.info on my Amazon Associates page, you will find this fabulous immersion blender and mini chopper. And it's a really good price, but anyhow. So what we're going to do is we're going to be blending up the flour and the baking powder and the salt first. And then we're going to add the butter, and we're going to just blend that up and then add a little bit of milk of your choice to this mixture. So we're putting the oven on 450 degrees, which we will do right now. And I'm going to put it on bake 450. Oh, nope, that's 550. Huh. See, I am human. 450. And get the oven going. And you want your butter really cold. You want it chilled. That really is the way to get that flakiness that you are searching for. So what we are doing, and I know you're not going to be able to read my chicken scratch, but I'm going to put it up here anyhow, is 450 degrees, 1/2 cup of flour of choice, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and a pinch of salt. The salt is really necessary. 1/4 cup of diced butter, and then 1/4 cup of milk at the very, very end. And you might not need that much milk even, so you just blend it and pulse until you get to that. So, 1/4 cup of butter. Gonna dice you up. And then I'm probably gonna put this back into the freezer while I blend up the flour just to keep it nice and cold. So how much is 1/4 cup of butter? Well, here's your butter. It's 8 tablespoons, which is 1/2 cup. So 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons. Got that? Okay. So this is 2 tablespoons. I might even make just 1/4 cup today. Maybe I want to do 1/4 cup instead of 1/2, and that way I'm not eating more. So I just need a little bit more of a tablespoon here to give me that 1/4 cup. And again, why am I doing this? Because I'm showing you how to cut a recipe down in case you want to indulge and know that maybe your tummy is going to bother you afterwards still. So let's go a little bit smaller here. So we have 1/4 cup of flour. I have found Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 baking flour works well. You have to watch out with your gluten-free flours. Let me see if I can place that right there. Yeah. You have to be careful with your gluten-free flours because some of them have like garbanzo flour in them or soy flour in them. All these really crazy other flours, which may work as binding agents, but it makes them taste really bad. And sometimes they don't work as binding agents. And we're supposed to have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. So how do you get 1/2 of 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder? Well, if you take 1/4 teaspoon, and if you have those crazy ones where you have 1/8 of a teaspoon, then you're going to get the right amount. So here goes my 1/4 teaspoon and my 1/8 of a teaspoon. So here's a great trick that my pastry chef had told me in culinary school to help you remember the difference between baking soda and baking powder. And that is that soda spreads and powder rises. So when you're looking for a leavening agent, and I'm putting in just a pinch of salt in my cute little sugar bowl that I've made into a salt bowl that I had gotten from Chef and the Baker, who prayers are going out to them right now because their new South Tampa bakery totally got flooded out with the storm. So, I'm sorry I'm so far away. So I have everything in my little mini chopper, and I'm going to blend it up. You're going to hear it pulsing. So the thing with flour that you're supposed to sift it, do you know why you're supposed to sift flour? Because it aerates it and it gives it the fluffiness. And I believe that is why they have us doing that with this. So I pulsed my flour with my baking powder and my salt. And now I'm going to add my diced butter that I did not keep chilled. So when you read the whole recipe, it says to pulse quickly until it just breaks down. Now here's the important part. That is super, super important because otherwise you overwork the glutens and you no longer have, a flaky biscuit. So if you'll see, we have crumbles. I'm going to crumble it up a little bit more because some of this butter, I don't want to touch the butter because then it's going to get soft and it's not going to make flaky layers anymore. But it's kind of the size of peas and we want it all crumbled up. I'm liking that better. And then we're going to be adding, I'm only going to add about a tablespoon of liquid into here, which would be a lid full to start with, because all we want it is to hold it all together. And yeah, I'm actually using heavy cream, believe it or not. And it has not come together yet, so I'm going to add some more of my milk. I ran out of milk today, this morning, as a matter of fact. We need a little bit more, but this is what we want, is to make sure that we're going to be getting a dough when it's not quite there yet. You don't want it to get goopy pasty is the whole point when you're adding your liquid. So yes, you can use plant-based butter. There we go. We got our dough. We got our drop biscuit dough. So yes, you can use plant-based butter. Yes, you can use plant-based milks. I don't know if you heard my announcement the other day. I'm going to stop purchasing plant-based milk, because if I'm talking about not having processed plant-based meats, why would I be doing that with my milk? So we're scraping off our blade. Make sure everything is off it. And I'm just going to stir this together to make sure that I have a dough. Do you have a dough? I have a dough. So this was a 1/4 cup, well, it's probably more like 1/3 of a cup of flour, and 1/4 cup of butter, and 1/4 teaspoon plus 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking powder, and literally a pinch of salt. And probably this time, because I was using cream, it ended up being a 1/4 cup of milk. And so I have 2 biscuits. Perfect, right? And my oven is hot. So let's put these guys in. I'm going to put it on for 10 minutes. So what are we going to do while we're waiting for these 10 minutes? Well, what else would we like to have for breakfast? I think I would like to have some eggs. So let's have an egg conversation. I do have a pan on here that I was saving for my husband, but he had to leave for work. That has a bunch of beef tallow in it, because beef tallow, believe it or not, is really good for you. So I'm taking my stainless steel pan and I have put it, let's get closer here. I have put it on medium heat. So the question that comes around is, I have stainless steel pans. I bought these really amazing stainless steel pans, and everything sticks to them. Why did I spend all this money to have my pans, have food stick on my pans? Well, your pan isn't hot enough when you're putting the food in it. And the best advice, and I even researched this just to see facts, fallacies, whatever you want to call it. The biggest recommendation is that you put your pan on medium for 5 minutes while you get everything together to get it hot at the correct temperature. So, does it work? Yeah, it does work. Does it demand patience from us? Yes, it demands a lot of patience from us. It demands a lot of patience from us. But however, I mean, if you see right now, I'm getting my eggs together. I'm getting my 2 eggs. I could clean as we go and clean things up. We're waiting for the pan to get hot, and it is not hot, so I'm going to crack my eggs into my little blender cup here. Oh, so I have a question for you guys. Here's my question. When you're mixing up your eggs, does it matter how well blended they are? Some of you may be laughing and thinking it's an absolutely ridiculous question. And some of you are probably saying, I know exactly what you're talking about, Adrienne. So when my sister and I were growing up as kids, there was only one breakfast place. I'm going to blend these up really quick. Let me show you what I'm doing here. So I have my immersion blender now. Like I said, that cute little mini chopper that I have. This is the first part of the immersion blender that now snaps into this. And it comes with a cup too. So seriously, guys, I'm so happy with it. Anyway, so growing up, there was only one place that my sister would eat eggs. And it was because they mixed up the eggs, the scrambled enough that you didn't see any whites in them. So we go back to my original question of, do you mind having whites in your scrambled eggs? Or are you like me and my sister since the beginning of time where it has to be completely blended up? And my husband, we're married 24 years now. July was 24 years for us. And it's taken probably until this last year for him to be like, okay, she's not going to eat my eggs if I don't blend them up properly. I'm putting in some coconut oil here. You probably see I have coconut oil, I have tallow, and I have olive oil. Why? Because depending on what the needs are, we have the different oils going on. I don't know if you've heard, I've talked about gallbladder issues before or whatnot. There goes my towel. I'm just putting this on the eggs so we can talk about the eggs. But my body does not like lots of heavy fats, so I do a lot more coconut oil and olive oil, and avocado oil. My husband likes to use tallow, and I'm all for it because we're making it ourselves with grass-fed, grass-finished, pasture-raised cows. So making your own beef fat to cook in, it's great for your bones. It's giving you your vitamin D. We're not eating it by the spoonful. We're just using that as our cooking medium, which really, really helps out. So, let's see. There's my pan that I was going to use for Jeffrey, but he had to leave for work. So you can probably see that the pan and the oil is getting super shimmery. Yeah. That's how you know your pan is hot enough. And that's on medium, guys. This is what I'm talking about. How about I don't like this light. It really hurts my eyes. And so our pan is now hot. The oil is shimmery. So we're going to add our eggs. Let's see if they stick today or not. And look, we only have 4 minutes left. So I'm pouring my eggs into my pan. Thank you very much. So earlier today, I always start off with a blueberry smoothie. And to my blueberry smoothie, I add 2 teaspoons of psyllium husk. And I grind up chia seeds. And I put in a tablespoon of chia seeds. And I have my protein. And I have my ashwagandha powder because this way it just helps keep my body balanced between hormones and stress going on. So now I'm postmenopausal. Yeah, so I have my fiber and my fruit in the morning, and then I have my eggs. Do I normally have eggs and biscuits? No, I don't. It's a little treat for me. So what I do with my eggs is once they're sitting in the pan cooking, I push everything to the middle. This is how I make my scrambled eggs. I just thought you might want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. So I just start pushing my eggs to the middle. And then I flip them over. That's how I make my eggs. Like I said, live with Adrienne, you never know what's going to happen. What am I eating today? This is what I'm eating today. And then I just kind of let the eggs clean up the sides of the pan. So who likes soft scrambled eggs and who likes well-cooked scrambled eggs? My husband likes soft scrambled eggs. I prefer them to be someplace in between, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Because then I kind of like let the cooking take over and then I'm putting a little bit of salt at the end. So, and that was a conversation we were having last night with some friends. We were talking about salt and sugar and not putting salt in your bread dough or into your yeast because salt will kill the yeast and sugar makes it expand, which sweet is expansive, salty is contractive, restrictive. And my husband has said, have you ever noticed that you don't put salt in your raw egg because your raw egg then gets watery? So you always wait until your eggs are cooked before you add your salt. Just one of those interesting tidbits going on. So I'm going to put my egg on my plate. And in order to make this easier to clean this up and not have to do a lot of scrubbing, because who likes to scrub pans? I don't know anybody that does. But what you can do is just fill your pan up or your pot up with water, like if you've burned the bottom of your pan, and put it back on your burner and let it just get hot, and that'll help loosen everything up. We have 1 minute left on our biscuits, and of course, being the impatient woman that I am, let's look at these guys and see. They're going to be hot. You notice, oh, they're still a little bit soft. So this guy almost looks ready, but they still seem kind of soft. There we go. It's getting golden brown on the bottom. I think it needs 2 more minutes. Oh, look, I crushed it. I just destroyed my biscuit, but this biscuit still looks good. So I'm going to turn off my timer. It takes 30 seconds to do that on this stove. I should have warned you about that. Like, Adrienne, why are you pausing? We're having an awkward silence. So I have 2 more minutes going on my biscuit. So just so you know what you're looking for. What else can I tell you other than have some eggs, have some biscuits? Thanks for joining me today. Hope your Saturday is going well. Hope your weekend is going well. Good love to everybody. Send out all your peace and love if that's all you're able to do right now in these trying times. And thanks for everything. See you next time. The Food Whisperer.